in today's video, I'm going to be telling you the things I wish I knew before moving abroad. If you want to move abroad, if you want to study abroad, then this video is for you. So I have stayed in Portugal, Greece, and Italy, and Malta, and I'm currently in Canada. And so I wanted to share with you things I wish I knew before leaving my country, Ghana, and some tidbits on what to do when you fall or you find yourself in this situation. But before we actually go into the video, I want to thank you so much for all of you who have subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much. What you have done means so much to me, and the channel is growing just because of you. But now I'd like to plead to those of you who once in a while come around here and watch my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps me, and the YouTube people know that, oh, this person's content is good, and so they're going to share it to more people. So please, if you do not mind, please subscribe to the channel. So the first thing I wish I knew before moving from Accra, Ghana to Europe and also to North America, specifically Canada, was that culture shock is real. Culture shock is real, and it was in like every single aspect of life. So for instance, in Ghana, you greet people, maybe you can shake their hands, you just say hi or something. But when I was in Portugal, what I noticed is that everybody's like coming for a hug, and you do that double kiss, so the mwah, mwah. And I felt I was very uncomfortable with that. So imagine going somewhere, meeting like a dozen people, or let's just say half a dozen, so 6 people, and you have to greet all of them. You go, you hug them, you give them a kiss here and there. Like, it was so uncomfortable. But then I realized that is their culture, and so as I'm in Rome, I have to do what the Romans do. But yeah, it was extremely like confusing for me. Another part, or another thing that shocked me, culturally shocked me, was when I was in church. So I don't know how it is now in Ghana, but when I was in Ghana, like, married people don't really sit together. You get it? Like, they're married, of course, but one person will be here, another person will be here. But in abroad, they are sitting down together. They're even like hugging, like somebody's head is on somebody's shoulder, like, hey, doing cute things in the church. I'm like, hey, well, culture shock. But yeah, showing affection, I'll say PDA is very common here in Canada, here in Portugal, anywhere in Europe. PDA, public display of affection, is really common. And so yeah, that was one culture shock. These are the things that shocked me when I traveled out of the country. My next point is budgeting is harder than you think. Yes, budgeting is harder than you think. So when you are traveling from your country, of course, the countries that you're going to, they would request or say that you should have a certain amount of money on you so that they will allow you to enter. So for example, in Canada, before you are allowed in at the immigration, they'll ask you to show proof of like funds that you'll be able to take care of yourself for at least the first 3 months or 4 months. But when you start going for groceries, when you pay your rent, like, budgeting is really hard. Saving is really hard when you're abroad. So you just have to know this. I really thought I would be fine with my savings, but I realized that budgeting was really hard for me. So what I have started to do now is, when I get paid, I take a little amount of the money from my pay and save it. So I put it in my savings account, and then that before I maybe send money home or pay my rent or budget for groceries, at least I know that amount of money I'm saving, it doesn't have to be a huge amount of money, but the little you save, you know that at least you have something that whenever, like, maybe there's an emergency, you have some money on the side to use. And so for me, That is how I deal with it. But you should know that budgeting is harder than you think. And so when you're coming, just plan ahead. My next point is that loneliness can be very overwhelming. So you already have seen in my videos that I spoke about how sometimes I feel homesick. Of course, I've been out of Ghana for almost 4 years. So yes, feeling homesick is like very, very, like, it's a constant thing for me. It is really very difficult. Sometimes I just miss the sound of people speaking Twi, people speaking Ghana, like eating like Ghanaian food, even though I try to cook it myself, but it's never the same. And especially when you move in freshly, like when you just come in, it is really overwhelming because like the change is like you were with your family yesterday and today you're not with your family, and the next 3 weeks you're not with your family, which is very difficult to do. So what I have been doing is that sometimes I call my mom, we speak for a longer time, I tell her things, I give her gist. I call my friends sometimes, I talk to them, I speak to my family members. Your social support system is really important so that you do not get like lonely or feel sad in any way. You can also like join a lot of like cultural events for your university. You can join the international students group. Sometimes they have programs to help so that people don't feel lonely, especially international students, and so that is also an option for you. So just be aware that before you travel abroad as a student, as a worker, loneliness can be overwhelming, but there are ways you can manage it by speaking to your family members as often as you can, by making new friends, by joining international like students groups and clubs, and going for cultural exchange like events in your university. My next point for you as somebody who wants to travel abroad out of your country is that the paperwork never ends. Well, it does end, but it's not as quick as you would believe. So for instance, when I moved to Portugal, I had a few months to apply for my residence permit, and so I needed to gather all the documents. I needed to get my residence, so I needed proof of residence, I needed to get like my social security number, I needed to get my tax identification number, I needed to get a lot of documents, and I had to go and like do the application. And I was just given like a year, and so after that year I have to do the application again. So it never really ends when you're outside of your country. Of course, in Ghana you just have your passport, and if you have to like maybe do like your Ghana card or your voter's ID card, in those cases, even in those cases, it doesn't really end. Of course, you have your passport, and it's a bit, you get a longer time before you have to renew it. But when it comes to the bureaucratic processes abroad, it never ends. You have to constantly make sure your paperwork is on point before like they sack you from where you are. So just know that paperwork never ends. My last point for you today is that you should embrace personal growth. So when I was leaving Ghana, that was in 2021, I had just finished my national service, and right before my national service I had just finished my 4-year bachelor's program. And so I would say that I had not really considered personal development in a heavy sense. Even though when I was there, I was volunteering a lot, I was going on a lot of like personal development events. But when you travel abroad, it's a different situation where you get the chance, especially if you go to a country that does not speak, the citizens don't speak English, or English is not their mode of communication or their preferred language or whatever you call it. But the fact that you're in a country where they have a different language, personal development, when I say you have to embrace your like personal development in your own life, is to attempt to at least learn the language, because you can improve yourself by learning a second or third language. Of course, in Ghana we are blessed with the fact that we have many languages, and so we are like by default polyglots. But when we are talking about international languages, how many international languages can you speak? Even before you travel out of the country, start to consider how I'm going to develop myself by learning at least a few phrases of the language that the language of the country you will be going to. Also, embrace challenges whilst you are studying abroad, because of course it's not always a rosy thing. I would give an example of before I just started this video. So I just came back from school and I was like, if I don't do this video, I'm not going to do it. But I was so cold outside. I've embraced it. I have no other choice. I've embraced the challenge of freezing, but at least you find a way to survive. Moving abroad isn't easy at all, and I'm not going to lie to you, it isn't easy, but it is one of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had. The opportunity to travel around, see different places, experience different cultures, taste different foods. It is truly amazing. I really hope these lessons that I have shared with you, things that I wish I knew, would help you prepare for your journey ahead. If you have questions, and if you also have an experience that you want to share with us, please feel free and share it in the comment section. Let us help each other in this journey together. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. I'm really grateful that you did so. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. But please don't forget to stay awesome, stay different, and stay offbeat. I love you.